Thank you so much for being with us today, Dr. Zeiger. To start off with, can you tell us a little bit more about Smartpatients, your company?
Sure. Smartpatients is an online community that's focused on cancer patients and caregivers. So this is probably true for most of medicine, but in cancer especially, there's so much to learn that certainly no individual, not even most doctors, can keep up with everything. And combining how fast the science of cancer is going and how complex the care is, the clinical side, the personal side, how it affects patients and families, it's clear that patients helping patients, caregivers learning from patients and caregivers, that the power of the network is something that more people can tap into. And so the conversations people have are really about how to manage the 29 days of the month that they're not seeing their clinician and how to support one another and learn from one another on those days.
Can you talk a little bit about what you found is a good, effective way to communicate about the science to patients?
These patients are having scientific conversations, and it's not because there are scientists or doctors there guiding them. They are really motivated people, and they often are pretty well educated, usually don't have a healthcare background, but when they or their loved ones get sick, they learn what they have to learn, and weeks and months later, they actually become expert in the subset of medicine that they are dealing with. So they're talking with each other and teaching each other. We didn't plan to do this originally, but so many of the conversations are about clinical trials that the community convinced us to build a clinical trial search engine. And so that's become part of the community platform. So patients can find trials and have discussions about them.
How did you get the idea to build this community in the first place?
Well, it wasn't my idea. So my co-founder, Gilles Friedman, has been building online communities since the mid-90s. So he founded an organization called ACOR back when his wife got sick. And he's been doing this for a long time. And we met and talked about what would the next generation platform look like that would support these kinds of dynamic communities where people can not only learn from their own community, which we usually define as applied to a different organ or a certain part of the body, so not only within traditionally defined communities, but across them. Many patients in one community, say the sarcoma community, have a lot to teach patients in the kidney cancer community because therapies are crossing those boundaries. Those discussions and seeing what was working and wasn't working that well about the traditional siloed communities, those discussions between me and Jill were what drove us to create the Smartpatients platform.
And right now, it's a community for cancer patients. And are you going to eventually expand to patients with other conditions?
I suspect we will. The real answer is I don't know. We're getting some pretty humbling input from other communities that like the way the platform works and want to use it, and we'll probably do some experimenting there, but we really want to focus on oncology because that's where we have a lot of experience and momentum in terms of communities that already exist and already have wonderful dynamics, and also the way that we've built the architecture so that it can facilitate conversations across communities and include discussions of clinical trials and a clinical trial search engine. That's really tailored to oncology. I suspect it'll be useful to some other communities too, but we're not quite ready to dig into that. We want to do our first job right first.
Thank you so much for coming and spending some time chatting with us today.
It's my pleasure, Joyce. Thank you.
Thank you.